Come on, Livingston, we're gonna go on and on and on. Together we can make it. We're gonna go on and on and on. Come on, Livingston.
Knocks it through. Mullen bursting into the box. Josh Mullen.
Together we can make it.
Mullen's ball across. It's turned in. It's Pittman who's got it. Livingston leads.
Can they get the ball back in? O'Brien.
Lead! And Livingston have the lead.
Man, can score.
If we march to
The full-time whistle blows and David Hayes celebrates. And the Livingston fans join in exultation.
come on, Livingston.
Livingston have the lead against Rangers, and they are certainly rising to a few occasions on their return to the top flight in Scotland.
Hello and welcome back to TalkLivi, the podcast dedicated to everything Livingston Football Club. My name's Andy and I'm joined today by Ewan, the original two return. Not sure if that's a good thing or not. Obviously the two Callums missing out this week. Ewan, how you doing?
I'm good, mate. Despite the result, I'm all good. The original two are the best two, aren't they? We say this all the time. The other two, one of them does a podcast for a few weeks, thinks he's Bertie Big Boss, can pick and choose when he does it. Then you've got Bruni. I mean, less said about him, the better. With his red carpet antics these days. We had to keep going back and forth with his agent to see if he would even do the podcast this week. So it's better just us two because we're boring and have nothing better to do. So
This is true. We again come to you via Zoom call, obviously due to the recent restrictions, so bear with us. We're trying our best to bring you the best content we can. I think my audio is slightly worse than everybody else's, but I am trying to make it better. But anyway, this week we look back at a frustrating afternoon for the Lions as we faced Kilmarnock and West Lothian. We then take a look back at Scotland's midweek game with the Czech Republic. And finally, we look ahead to a tough-looking encounter with league leaders Rangers at Ibrox.
football's a frustrating game at times and it's got a funny way of kicking you when you're flying high. That kick came on Saturday as we fell to defeat against the Kilmarnock side who had only returned to training on Wednesday due to COVID restrictions. Despite taking an early lead, we didn't capitalise on it and we went down 3-1 to Alex Dyer's side. It was safe to say a pretty frustrating afternoon.
Yeah, it was frustrating. That word cropped up quite a lot in the early stages of the season. It's cropped up again this week. It was frustrating, given that for the first 20 minutes of the game, things were looking positive. We went into the game and we had a bit of positive vibes after 4 wins in a row. Got that lead, a great goal by us, and then it just kind of went flat. It was a weird one. We were playing solid stuff, and then almost we took the lead, and we seemed to think that was job done pretty quickly. Kilmarnock got a foothold in the game. They obviously went up the park with their equaliser. The second goal, the less said, the better. I've not seen it back, but I don't think anybody needs to see it back. It looks like it's a clear dive. Greg Aitken doing his usual to us. And then obviously we come on to the third goal. And we've been great believers in standing by Robbie McCrory this season. And my heart sank when he obviously made that error. Goalkeepers make errors all the time, but I think that one's a massive blow for him, a massive blow for the club, and a massive blow for us, given we've been such defenders of him. One that's indefensible for me. But apart from that, we did create chances in the second half, but I just felt we were flat. And throughout the 90 minutes, I just felt we weren't getting that goal to make it interesting. It was a flat performance. I thought we were sloppy in the middle of the park, gave the ball away a lot, and frustrating is the word.
Yeah, I mean, great start to the game. I think we looked lively, the opening stages. The goal, it's clearly something we've worked on. The amount of times FA picks the ball up and looks that diagonal out to Serrano, and Serrano's winning like 90% of everything in the air as well. But he does brilliantly to kind of run beyond Forrest, overlap, and it's really well taken by Pittman. I think kind of first half, first 25 minutes we looked all right, and then Kelly got the equaliser on the counter-attack. It's not often we're kind of hit on the counter like that. We looked a bit open. 2 kind of ricochets in the build-up to it, kind of the first one it deflects and it kind of goes behind all our kind of players that are tracking back, and then, you know, Bartley puts in a tackle, it's broke to Burke, and Robbie could maybe parry it further out to the sides. But Tishbola looked suspiciously offside. You know, I would need to see an actual still frame of it, but I haven't seen one back. The second goal, as you say, I mean, remember a couple of seasons back, I think it was the first podcast we done, Andy, and Greg Aitken booked Stevie Lawless for diving against Dundee, and probably the exact same position in the box, right? And he was clearly taken out, and he booked him for diving. Now, Pittman's not even got close to making contact. I've watched it back several times. It's how he is given that as a penalty, I don't know. And I don't know how Gary Holt was so restrained when he was speaking to the media about it. He obviously didn't want to get in trouble. But, I mean, do you get retrospectively banned for a dive?
I think you can. I think there's players been done in the past for it. I mean, it all comes down to the referee report, I think. I mean, as you say, how Aitken can stand there. I mean, he's literally, 2 yards away. He's in front of it. I would give him the benefit of the doubt if he was 10, 15 yards away and there was maybe players in the way. He's standing looking at it. See, when the whistle went, I was watching the game. I generally thought, brilliant, good referee, and he's called that back for a dive, because I could see it in during the game. It didn't even take a replay for me to know that was a dive. You could tell with the reaction of the players. I always go on about reactions of the players. You could tell right away the Kilmarnock players were a bit sort of, oh God, I can't believe we've got that. Whereas the Livy players were absolutely livid. I mean, the reaction tells you everything, but I didn't need to see that. In normal time, I could see it was a dive. It's ridiculous, the Greg Aitken. He's got some sort of mind blank against Livingston. I don't know if we've shat in his kettle over the years or not. We've obviously done something to upset him.
Nah, but, you know, obviously Burke tucks away the penalty. I have to say, Kelly, once they equalised, they looked like a team that were, you know, in the ascendancy in the game, to be fair to them. Second half, I think, again, we came out and we looked bright. We looked like we were trying to take the game to Kelly. But then the third goal, I mean, 99 times out of 100, Robbie takes it. You know, it's one of those ones, not trying to defend him. Robbie will know himself. You know, it's a clanger. He'll know that, and I'm sure he'll be disappointed with that. Again, big defenders of him on the podcast, but I still think some of the stuff on social media is ridiculous. I genuinely think if Robbie McCrory was to fart, someone would tweet about it from our fan base. That's the sort of reaction it seems to get. But I feel, I was a bit like you. My heart sank because having spoke to Robbie, I interviewed him last season, and he's the nicest lad, and he's absolutely desperate to learn and improve. So it's really disappointing because I'm sure it'll probably knock his confidence, something like that. But that goal it totally knocked the stuffing out of us. Because I do think we were in the ascendancy in the game. I think Kilmarnock were professional after that. The way I would describe Kelly's performance is what you would almost describe as a perfect away performance. Taking your chances when you've got them, and you've defended your box better than the opposition. And, you know, we had chances. We had the Woodward 3 times, Forrest, Devlin, Jet late on. Ambrose has had a couple of really good chances as well. It's not like we've not created today, but I agree with you. I think there was just sloppy moments kind of throughout the game. And, you know, it's one of those ones. It's just such a disappointing result because you take out those kind of individual errors and we're probably getting a result today. You know, that's what makes it so frustrating. And it's a bit after the kind of recent upturn in form. It's kind of deflating, that result.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, we all went into the game buzzing after such good form. You know, we all thought, you know, a win here pushes us further up the table. Going into a really tough game at Rangers next week. Now we're going into that game on the back of a negative result. It's tough going to Ibrox at the best of times, but on the back of a disappointing result like that, it's not going to be any easier.
Back of them, obviously winning the Old Firm game as well, their tails are going to be up regardless of who they were going to be playing next week.
Yeah. Did you think that, we discussed it last week in a preview of the game? Did you almost think that the whole COVID thing and the incident with Dyer asking Livingston to postpone the game or put the game back, did you think that had a detrimental effect on us? Did you think that almost fired Kilmarnock up for this game to go and get a result?
Oh, it's something you can add to your team talk, isn't it? But yeah, they've been back in training since Wednesday. They've had a few days to prepare for a game. It's kind of the equivalent if you had a midweek game, which they did. I don't really see what the big issue with trying to get the game put back. But I mean, that's twice now we've came off the back of playing teams who have had players out with COVID. Aberdeen, we kind of fancied maybe to take them off guard, having not played, and it backfired against us up at Pittodrie, and it's been the same again. Yeah, I think it's one of those things, isn't it? We kind of said last week, you don't really know what to predict, what the Kelly team was going to be. It turned out they were able to field a full strength side. And yeah, as I say, credit where credit's due. Kelly came and they were professional. As I say, they were very clinical in front of goal, and they defended their box a lot better than we did.
Yeah, I was impressed with Kilmarnock. I have to say, they impressed me more than I was expecting them to. You could almost describe the performance as Livy-esque. If we'd played like that in a home game, we'd be coming away with that kind of result. We'd be thinking the perfect Livingston performance there. That they've sat in, they've defended their box well, they've hit us on the break, they've taken their chances, and yeah, they've rode their luck a little bit in terms of us hitting the bar and the post and having chances. But you make your own luck, don't you? And yeah, it's going back to the McCrory thing. I've been tweeting a lot tonight because I'm dead frustrated with the game today. I'm really disappointed with it all. I really feel sorry for him. My heart goes out to him here, and this is me not defending him in the slightest, because it is the indefensible today. I think the first goal is arguably he could be doing better. He should be pushing it wide. The third goal's undoubtedly his fault, but there's no point in us sitting here and telling him that, because he'll know himself, having spoken to him. He's a perfectionist. He wants to get better, and him making these mistakes isn't going to help. What I would say is, though, and I've tweeted this, so this is maybe entirely consistent, is almost feels like there's fans now celebrating the fact that he's made these mistakes. We've been waiting for weeks and weeks for this massive blunder to happen. It's eventually happened, and it's almost like the I told you so brigade have came out in numbers to all of us happy clappers, as they put it. And it's really frustrating, because it's not so much that we're happy clappers, it's that we've seen potential in him, we want him to do well, and this sort of perception that he's only playing because he's a Rangers player, it's just total nonsense. Gary Holt knows him. Yeah, we can all have opinions, fans can all have opinions, but managers and coaches see him week in, week out. If Gerrard at Rangers thinks he's good enough to come into the Rangers team next season, if Holt thinks he's good enough, if Clark thinks he's good enough, then who are we to say he's not good enough? I mean, I've said this as well, I feel like there's almost been a vendetta against him. I would get it if maybe 2 or 3 games into the season he had a poor performance, fans started getting on his back. But this started right at the beginning of the season. The minute we signed him, he's not had a chance to impress, and I think, Mac's going to come in against Rangers, and I hope to God he does well, and I hope to God he pulls off some wonder saves and we come away with an unexpected result. I want nothing more. I want exactly the same for Robbie. Just feels like we're in the minority wanting that. It feels like a lot of others want him to feel.
Yeah, you've taken the words out of my mouth, and the international coach obviously sees potential in him. He wouldn't call him up otherwise. Gary Holt, Davy, they obviously see potential. Gerrard at Rangers. Tony Craig is another one. Tony's very highly rated as a goalkeeper coach. You look at, I bet he's heavily involved in the recruitment of our keepers, and he's brought back Neil Alexander, he brought in Liam Kelly, brought in Sarkic, and I almost feel that's a thing that's went against Robbie as well, as the high calibre of goalkeepers we've had. But kind of something went through my mind a little bit, and it was Liam Kelly's first spell with us, and he made a few kind of high-profile mistakes, in particular against East Fife. And when we re-signed Liam, fans were fans were like, "Oh no, why have we re-signed him? He's awful." And when he got given the chance to play week in, week out at that level, look, he's now been playing regularly down south in the Championship. But it almost felt like because Liam was coming in to replace a fan's favourite that was DJ and Darren Jameson, and I felt like some of our fans just kind of were almost against Liam from day one when he first came to us. But that, look, I hope Robbie bounces back. I don't want to make this too much about Robbie, but I have every confidence in him. He's a good goalkeeper. I've seen enough to think that, and as I say, the managers and coaches that he's worked with, I respect their ideas as well, which they obviously back Robbie as well. But look, hopefully we can go and put this game behind us next week, and it's just an easy trip to Ibrox. It's fine. We'll easily pick up 3 points.
It was the final game of the international break for Scotland on Wednesday night as we faced the Czech Republic in the Nations League. Following 2 successful results, we concluded the break with a third win in what was a perfect week for the national side. We're obviously very happy with how the break went, aren't we, Ewan?
Yeah, absolutely delighted. And the thing I'm most delighted about is I think there's been a clear progression in terms of, something I was saying frustrating from the last international break was you could see kind of the signs that Clark was implementing, kind of off the ball stuff, organisation, the shape, but it was more kind of with possession. And I think the last 2 games in particular, I think we've seen a style of play. You can see it coming in. I think he's struck gold with the Dykes, Fraser, McGinnon behind combination. I think, every time, the first half against the Czech Republic, I thought it was a thoroughly entertaining game, actually. First half, I think it was quite end-to-end. We were clearly playing on the break. And every time we did counter on them, we looked threatening. Fraser could have had a hat-trick first half, especially the one McGinn kind of played him in behind. But got the early goal. Dykes does brilliantly to stay on his feet and slip in Fraser, and Fraser's tucked it away really well. But look, we rode our luck. Safe to say that. I think Vidra could have easily had a hat-trick. One in the first half that he's missed at the back post is an absolute sitter. But you know what? The way I look at it, yes, we rode our luck, but you had Tierney, McKenna, Cooper, Palmer, all missing, who would have likely have been in your back 4 or 5 in that team. And you're pulling in Considine, it's his 2nd cap, it's Gallagher's 5th cap, McTominay, it's his 5th game at centre half for the country. Taylor only playing his 3rd game, coming in there, and I think Taylor had a really good game actually. So it was a very inexperienced back 5, and I think testament to them, I think they held their own against what is a very good Czech Republic team. And it kind of puts that away game a bit to bed actually, because we went and got a result against their first 11 basically. And yeah, it's a brilliant result, and it's perfect getting a result against a team of that quality, because I think they're probably kind of a similar vein to Serbia. I think they're probably quite similar, and I think that'll give the players a lot of confidence going in to the Serbia game. We are not expected to beat Serbia, and I think that's going to suit us. I think we're the underdog, and I think that's the tag that we almost like. But you can tell there's a sense of relief after that Israel game, the last 2 games. It's like the shackles have came off a little bit with the team. And I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful next month. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's almost enjoyable watching Scotland again. I know I kind of criticised the performance against Israel, but it is enjoyable watching winning football. I think every football fan will tell you that it doesn't matter how you get it. If you win the games, you're going to be in a much better mood after it. Just like if you lose a game like against Kilmarnock for Livingston, you're going to be upset and in a bit of a mood for the rest of the day or the rest of the weekend. So watching Scotland is far more enjoyable, state the obvious, when you're winning games, which doesn't happen very often. I think you hit the nail on the head. It was great to get a result against such good opposition. Czech Republic aren't a bad side. I think we all seen that. Even their second string gave us a really good game. But they were different class, I think. I mean, as you say, we rode our luck entirely. They could have had 2 or 3. One chance in the second half that he's missed for about 2 yards out. I've no idea how he put it over the bar. But we rode our luck, and almost similar to what I just says, you make your own luck, and we got in that one. Top in the group now in the Nations League. I think we're 4 points clear in that, with 2 games to go, and that's also massive. I think it's been really good that we've not taken our eye off how important these games in the Nations League are, with that massive game with Israel in there as well, because this gives us a great opportunity now to get promotion into the A groups, which almost guarantees you as a World Cup playoff, which is going to be massive for the country as well. We could all, I mean, it's been an absolutely perfect international break, winning all 3 games, sets us really well into the Serbia game. Do you know who I was impressed with? And I always think he brings balance to the Scotland team, and he might not be Scotland's fans' biggest player or best player. I think Ryan Jack always brings that balance to the team. I think he adds that bit, almost like a Scott Brown of the past, when he was playing in that little hole, dictating things, breaking up attacks. I think he offers a lot. I think he'd be probably very unlucky to drop out of the Serbia game. I think he adds a lot to the team. I don't know what you think of that.
Nah, I think the system we were playing, we're kind of 4 across, but your 2 wide players are wing backs, really. You rely a lot on the kind of 2 centre midfielders kind of protecting when the full backs go forward. So, for example, on Wednesday, it was Taylor and O'Donnell. So I think I was seeing a lot of folk going, oh, what does Jack do and what does McGregor do when they play for Scotland? But I think it's that classic sitting midfield player. They kind of go under the radar a little bit for a lot of the work they do off the ball. And I agree with you. I think Jack is a very steady midfielder, and he's very consistent and reliable. And that's kind of my views on Callum McGregor as well. I just think he's consistent, reliable, uses the ball well when he gets it. And I think both of them did a really good job. One of the players that really stood out for me over the 3 games, obviously Dykes, we've all kind of talked about. Fraser, the last 2 games in particular, but I think Declan Gallagher, I think, first half against the Czech Republic, I think he struggled a little with Vidra. But I mean, Vidra's he's a Premier League striker. He's a good quality striker. But I think, Decky's certainly throwing his hat into the ring for that massive playoff game next month. He's kept 3 clean sheets in 3 games in this international break at the heart of the defence, and fair play to him. Folk were questioning him even being in the squad because of Motherwell's poor start to the season, but I think he's proven he can step up to that level.
Me included, by the way. I mean, yeah, he's totally shone very brightly in that defence. I think that's not 5 games he's played and 5 wins, so he's obviously bringing some sort of lucky charm to the squad. I agree with Dykes as well. I think he's been a star man, and Fraser, that partnership is looking great. You touched on it earlier on right at the beginning. That seems like we've sort of came across a great partnership there. He was a bit unlucky to get away with just a yellow card, though, wasn't he? It looked like a red card in the second.
Nah, for me, the Czech boys got in the way. The Czech boys put himself underneath London's foot, which I think is disgusting. It's terrible. terrible play acting.
Yeah. Okay, wink, wink, cough, cough. Obviously, that yellow card, though, rules him out of the next Nations League game. Thankfully, he's still available for Serbia, but it rules him out, which gives a wee opportunity for probably the big boy that the Scotland fans love to hate just now, play up front. He'll come in and do a job. He's done okay the last couple of games as a sub appearance, hasn't he?
Yeah, certainly the Slovakia game. I've never seen someone win as many throw-ins in the space of 10 minutes, but he did the job that he was put on the park to do. A bit of absolute shithousery, and I for one love that. But I think he actually tweeted about it as well, like brought on to win throws type thing. But he did well. He was unlucky not to get a goal against Slovakia, and then he had a really good effort in the Czech Republic game from distance where he's hit the bar. I think McBurney's one of these ones, right, where the Tartan Army I think when you're an English born or from a different country and you get capped for Scotland, if you don't do it instantly, they start getting on your back. James Morrison was a bit like that, I remember. And I mean, he got almost 50 caps for Scotland in the end. He was a stalwart under Gordon Strachan. But McBurney just needs that goal, I think. He goes and scores the winner in Serbia, for example, coming off the bench. He'll probably have a statue put up outside Hampden. The Tartan Army will pay for it as well. They can be very fickle at times. But I think he's came on in those 2 games and he's done a job, and hopefully the Slovakia game or even the Serbia game, if he gets the opportunity, he can come on and do something, and hopefully the Tartan Army can take to him eventually.
Yeah, I think you called it. Football fans are very fickle, club and country. It's great to be watching Scotland win again. They've saved the week for us, really, after the performance against Kilmarnock. The Scotland national team have saved our week. So hopefully, as you say, we can take that into the next international break and get some positive results and get the country bouncing again.
Finally, in this week's episode, we're going to look ahead to our next game. A daunting task lies ahead as we face a trip to Castle Grayskull to play Rangers, who have yet to lose a game this season and sit 4 points clear at the top after winning the Old Firm game at Celtic Park. Of course, we're recording this before Rangers play their opening Europa League game against Standard Liège, but it's going to be a tough one regardless, isn't it?
It is, but this is almost the type of game that'll suit us. It's the perfect game after a disappointing performance, I think, because we'll go into there with low expectations for the team. We can go there and defend for our lives, just like we've done at home against them. What I would say is, even in that home game, I was very impressed by Rangers. I know we picked up a point, and not many teams have done that this season against them. But I was very impressed with how quick they passed the ball. Much better than last season, and much better than the Celtic team that I saw as well. I wasn't surprised they won the Old Firm game. I think, without going back to predictions right at the start of the season, I predicted Rangers to win the league. At the moment, they're looking like the team to beat. Just now, they've got an embarrassment of riches in the side. They could chop and change that team. I don't think having a Europa League game affects them too much in this, because they've got such a big squad of players that players can come in and not affect their starting 11 too much. I can see there being changes to their side for this one, but they're almost oozing that sort of every game's important, whereas maybe in seasons before they might have taken this game or another, or St Mirren game or wherever, a little less important, whereas they're oozing that we need to win every game to win this league. That's what it comes across. So it's going to be undoubtedly difficult, but it's the type of game we go into. Nothing to lose. You just never know.
Yeah, we talked about it last time we played Rangers. They're bringing off a striker that they just signed for £7 million from Anderlecht, and we are bringing on Kudiresa, who was playing junior football 2 years ago. The difference in resources and options available is absolutely stark, and yeah, it's going to be a tough game. As you say, they're likely going to make changes to freshen things up after the European game on Thursday. I could see guys like Jordan Jones, Barker possibly coming in. I know Hadji didn't start the game today. He's kind of in and out the team, but I could see him coming in as well. The boy Itten up top potentially. They've just listed they've spent a lot of money on these guys, and it just shows you the quality that Rangers have. And I agree with you. I was more impressed with them in that 0-0 game. I always felt like Rangers kind of, when you played and sat in, they really struggle against you. And but the first half of that game, they moved the ball so much quicker than I remember them moving it the last couple of seasons under Gerrard. And yeah, they do look like they're certainly. I still think Celtic will come good at some point, but I do think Rangers are going to run them a lot closer this year. If they haven't already released the DVD, how they won the league in October, that is after the Old Firm game. But yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Shape-wise, what do you reckon we might do? Because we went to Celtic Park and we went to our back five, and we played very well. We were well in the game. Could you see us doing something similar against Rangers?
We always seem to change our shape in these games. Rangers, Celtic, doesn't matter if it's at home or away, we always almost play the same kind of style that we have our full-backs doubled up. We almost play that 5 and the likes of Pittman or whoever will drop back to protect Nicky Devlin on the right. So you'd almost have 2 sitting in there and 2 on the left with Serrano and say Forrest if we start like that. So you're almost just about playing a flat 7 sometimes against these teams. We'll flood the box. We'll try and defend for our lives in the box. I can see it almost carbon copy how we've played these games before. Letting them have the ball, maybe try to get them on the break. I think the interesting one for me is whether we start Tiffany again. I know he came off with a slight knock against Kilmarnock, or if we go with Jet, who looks more stronger, bigger, can maybe hold the ball up better, bring others into play a little bit better. Not to say that Tiffany's not done that, but whether he's fit or not. The other one, Robinson, came off. I don't know if Millen will be back fit. I know he was out injured for the Kilmarnock game as well. So we've got options as well to consider. But I do think it will almost be a carbon copy of the other games we've played against Rangers and Celtic over the last few years that we've just went there, sat in and tried to frustrate.
Yeah, it's an interesting one up top. As you say, I think Tiffany looked like he was holding his groin when he came off. So whether he'll be available or not, but you look at last season, the 2 games at Ibrox in particular, and then the cup game, you saw what a kind of more physical sort of striker, the problems that he caused in Dykes against Hilander, Katic, Goldson, whichever combination it was. So maybe Jet can do that. You never know. But whether he's got, I doubt he'll have 90 minutes of, kind of having to press up the top end of the park in him quite yet. But it's maybe an option for an hour, 70 minutes. See if you can get that out of the big man. But yeah, it's the other one's obviously going to be Stryjek, will be in between the posts as well. So 4 games this season and 2 of them are against Rangers. No, quite a tough task for Max. But it's going to be a tough game regardless. But I can see us tweaking our shape ever so slightly and putting in another centre half in there to add a bit more protection. But let's go on to predictions then. So what do you reckon for a trip to Castle Grayskull?
Yeah, it is going to be tough, and it's hard to be positive. Keep going on Castle Grayskull here. Hopefully no Rangers. I wouldn't expect any Rangers fans to listen to us anyway. Barely any Livy fans listen to us. But if you do, that's not the feeling of the TalkLivi podcast or Livingston Football Club. That is solely Ewan's reasoning for calling you that. Anyway, just quickly before I go into my prediction, I just feel that we don't want to go on about the McCrory Stryjek thing too much. I think we've done that to death on this podcast. But it is good that we've got a keeper that we can go to and rely on. He's came in against Rangers earlier in the season, done very well. He's done very well in the cup games. So it is sort of giving me some sort of hope that we've got a keeper there that can come in and do the job. We've got players that can do a job. We're notoriously difficult to beat in these type of games. I think we will get beat though, unfortunately. I think Rangers will be too good for us, and I'm going to go 3-0 Rangers in this one.
Yeah, I'm going for a defeat, but I am going 2-0. I think we'll keep ourselves in the game. I think we might even get to half-time level. We've done that the last couple of times. We've been to Ibrox, we've got in level, rode our luck a little bit, but yeah, I think Rangers will have the quality to break us down eventually and pick up another 3 points. Fairly routine in the end for them, but yeah, hopefully we can produce some sort of miracle next week at Ibrox and take away a positive result.
That's it for this week's episode of TalkLivi. To check out all our weekly content, go and like our page on Facebook and Instagram and hit follow on our Twitter. They can all be found by just searching TalkLivi.
You can also find all our episodes, including this one, on all good podcast streaming sites, including iTunes and Spotify. We're also on YouTube. Search for TalkLivi and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If none of these options suit you, though, all you have to do is head to our website, talklivipodcast.libsyn.com, where you'll find every single episode we've done over the last few years.
So that's it for another week. thanks again to you all for listening and continuing to support the podcast. But for now, from you and myself, we hope you have a great week, and we hope you join us next week again.
Livingston, oh Livingston, oh Livingston, our love will never die. West Lothian is our battle cry. This is the place from which we hail. Livingston, oh Livingston, it's up to Ambervale. Livingston, 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 oh Livingston, oh Livingston, we love it when you score. Livingston, oh Livingston, the Ambervale Lions roar. Livingston, oh Livingston, we realize our vision. Livingston, oh Livingston, into the